to carry this one.
Welcome back. It's the NW Sportscast. Thank you to all of you who watched my post-game reaction yesterday. Today, we're bringing in Drew as well. And we're both just going to give our thoughts on the game as well as just the Seahawks season in general so far. We're now halfway through the season, and there's definitely a lot of thoughts. So this is a little bit more of a debate style kind of thing. A little bit of just a discussion. Yeah, let's just get right into it. The loss yesterday was ugly. I stand by everything that I said in my previous video. If you haven't seen that, you should check it out. But basically, my key takeaway is that I am right. And what I took away after the Cardinals, Rams, Browns, pretty much every game I've said the same thing, is that we're good except for Geno isn't. And the Ravens game has proven me to be right once again. Geno is not a good quarterback. I wish he was better. But I think the good games are a mirage. He plays well against terrible defenses. That's my first takeaway. And my other takeaway was just simply that we're not ready to be contending with the Super Bowl favorites yet. We made a big trade. Didn't really pay off for us last week. Hopefully it still will. But right now we're just not in the same class as the Super Bowl contenders. So Drew, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was an ugly game. Obviously, very ugly. No one really looked good. The defense, they played okay in the first half of the game and then kind of fell apart in the second half. But the offense really abysmal, to put it quite frank, abysmal. Geno Smith, obviously, with the interception, under 160 yards, under 50% completion percentage, which is usually his quote strong suit. But listen, this doesn't really change a lot about how I feel about this team. I knew we weren't going to beat the Ravens. I thought it was going to be a little bit more competitive. It's unfortunate that we ended up losing by 34, of course, but at the end of the day, we're not an elite team. Geno Smith is not an elite quarterback. I knew both those things going in, and this game didn't really change that. It was a shame that it seemed like we didn't really fight at all. I mean, 0-0 after the first quarter. You think that the offense will get going, and we had a chance. Lamar Jackson gave us the ball there, and Geno Smith gave it right back. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, Geno Smith winds up in my quarterback index. He was the third worst quarterback this week. The two guys who were worse than him, Daniel Jones, who got injured in the second quarter and didn't score a single offensive point, and Clayton
Yeah.
Tune, the fifth-round draft pick for the Cardinals in his first ever start. Those were the only two quarterbacks who played worse than Geno this week. I have him at 20th on the season right now, which is, and you can be like, well, 20th isn't bad, but 20th isn't great either. And considering
No.
the guys below him are guys that have missed a couple games or guys that are rookies. So it's like, well, yeah, I mean, he's better than like Jordan Love, but I mean, that's not really something to celebrate. Like any team can say, well, our quarterback is better than so and so, but that doesn't make him a good quarterback. And that's another thing that people, when I say I'm not a Geno Smith fan, I think we should move off of him. Or even in the last game, I said we should pull him from the game. They're like, well, Levi, Drew Lock's not. I mean, Geno's better than Drew Lock. And like, I agree. I do think Geno's better than Drew Lock. I do think Geno should be our starter. But when you're down by 30 in the fourth quarter, it's not necessarily a bad idea to take out your quarterback and put in the backup just to give. I mean, Geno is taking hits. He's taking sacks. The O-line's not playing well. He's under constant pressure. And he's got the entire fan base, not the entire, he's got about half the fan base completely against him. The least you could do is give the man 10 minutes to end the game to just cool off and settle down and just see what Drew can do. Maybe
Yeah,
Drew
I
Lock
agree.
to get something going. There's no reason in a 34-point blowout that Geno should have stayed out there the entire game. Like,
No.
coaches, because also it sends Geno a message. It says, you're not saying you're done for the year. I'm not saying we should bench him for the year. I think he gives us, I think with Drew Lock, we would lose to the Commanders next week. With Geno, I think we would beat the Commanders. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
I still think that he's better, but it does send him a message like, okay, you got to be better. I don't know.
Yeah. 100%. Geno Smith, really, really, it's a hard spot because he hasn't been good, but he hasn't been terrible. I mean, Levi, what do you think his QBR is? Ranking out of all 32, or 30, yeah, 32 top 32 QBR, where do you think he's at?
I'm gonna guess he's about 15th, 14th.
16. I mean, he's
16.
right. He's average.
He's dead center.
I
The
mean,
problem
he's
is that
completely average.
lately the turnovers are ruining it. Because I will say this, he played a great game against the Lions early on. He played a
Mhm.
great game against the Giants early on. He played well against some bad defenses, and you could say, padded his stats. And then the minute he goes up against a good defense, though, he crumbles. He,
Yeah.
I mean, anyone can play well against a bad defense. Jordan Love played well against the Bears week 1. And you know what I mean? Like anybody can play well against the right defense in the right circumstance. The question is when everything else around you is failing and when the team you're up against is a real challenge, are you going to rise to the occasion? And Geno doesn't, I have not seen him rise to the occasion outside of the fourth quarter and overtime of that Detroit Lions game. And even then, we were never losing that game because the defense got a pick six and then got another pick to set up an easy touch. So it's like, even that game, Geno got helped out a lot by that defense. The Rams and the Ravens, both teams, as soon as he gets down by more than like one touchdown, Geno is crumbled.
Yeah. Not good. Someone, which I think could help him a lot more, and someone who deserves some of this offensive struggle is DK Metcalf, the quote unquote wide receiver one for the
Yeah,
Seattle Seahawks. One
not great.
reception. It was for 50 yards, but one reception. Receptions among all receivers. Where do you think he ranks, Levi?
He not high. I feel. I mean,
For a wide receiver one?
he
For
even
wide receiver one, where do you think he is?
well, I would argue that Tyler's our wide receiver 1, but I'm gonna say, I mean, is he in the top 50 for receptions this season?
No,
Yeah,
no,
I don't think so. Is he in the top 60?
no.
Is he top 75?
He's 70. He's tied for 71st with 28 receptions. You know who has more receptions than him?
Who?
Jackson, Smith, and Jigba
Really?
with
Really?
29.
Wow. Now DK
So,
has more yards and DK has,
yes.
I think, more touchdowns. But yeah, no, DK has not done much this year. And apparently, I didn't realize this. I saw someone on Twitter. He unfollowed the Seahawks account. Um, People are saying he might want out after this year. He
Wait,
doesn't
why did he? Why?
because he doesn't think he's being treated fairly by the offensive system we're running. He doesn't think he has the right quarterback. I don't know, but to
I mean,
be
we don't have a wide receiver that ranks in the top 32 for receptions.
yeah, we
I
don't
mean,
have a fighter.
you got guys ranking above. Dalton Kincaid for the Buffalo Bills has more receptions than anyone on the Seahawks.
And Dalton. Well, he just got 10 last night against the Bengals. But yes,
Cole Kmet,
well, Cole Kmet's having a great season as a tight end. But that's another thing.
Jacoby Myers. I mean, come on.
Jacoby Myers is incredible this year. But again, it's like nobody would have told you that Jacoby Myers is a better player than DK or Tyler going into this season. And
Dallas Goddard.
yeah, Dallas Goedert. I mean, that's another thing we can talk about. These tight ends, a lot of tight ends this year playing really well. And I was pretty high on Noah Fant going into the season. He has barely made an impact this year at all, I feel like.
Yeah.
Last year,
That's not the player that I'm gonna point to.
last year, Noah Fant was a huge part of. He was our third most targeted player.
Okay, I agree, but that's not the player I'm gonna point to here.
I don't know. I would say I think it's a lot of scheme as far as like the plays we're drawing up. It's still a lot, and I don't understand why. It's still a lot of what we saw in the last couple seasons of Russ, where it's like deep pass, deep pass, deep pass. But when the O line can't give you more than a couple seconds, like Geno, he doesn't have time. And this is one thing I will say. He hasn't had a lot of time lately to let his routes progress.
Yeah, I mean the offensive line's banged up, man. They need to get back.
But at the same time, I swear, does Geno even look for his second option? I feel like a lot of the time Geno's missing open receivers because he's only looking at his first option. And I'm not, I'm just I'm not sure of his ability to
Yeah.
make really like he hasn't been making great reads. He's missing players. Like I don't know. DK to his credit, DK has been open. He's not getting thrown the ball because he's so far down the field, and Geno doesn't have enough time to let these passes develop. But at some point, you just have to say, like, look, even if Kenneth Walker has a couple of bad runs early on, we have to stick with the run game. Like, just because you're losing doesn't mean you can't do handoffs. We only handed the ball off, guess how many times in the second half?
6.
Less.
Wow. 3.
Less. We ran 2 rushing plays the entire second half. It's like we were down 20-3. Okay, you're not out of that game, and
Yeah.
and you can go down the field and put together a 7-minute drive with methodical runs, and then all of a sudden it's 20-10, and your defense has some time to rest, and then let's say you hold them to another field goal. Now it's 23-10. Now their defense is getting tired. Let's do another long methodical like teams. I think have this weird perception, and especially the Seahawks, that as soon as you're losing, you can't do long methodical drives. You just have to throw the ball downfield, deep pass, get back in the game. Like, no, not until the fourth quarter. You can run the ball in the third quarter when you're losing and still potentially win the game. I don't understand it.
I don't get it either. I really don't. I I think Shane Waldron has a lot to blame as well. Um, I'd be very surprised if next year, if this keeps continuing, Shane Waldron will be the OC. Also, Geno Smith, has he had a good game this year? I mean, maybe the
I'd
Lions,
say that the Lions game was good.
but I mean, other than that, he's been really bad. Last 4 games has thrown a pick in every single one, 2 in a couple of them. Yeah, I haven't seen him play clean football. I haven't seen him hit the open reads. I haven't seen him make any crazy plays outside of maybe one play against the Browns where he had that nice scramble throw to the back of the end zone to Tyler Lockett. Other than that, I mean, Geno Smith has been absolutely horrific. But I mean, I'm not going to continue to harp on him. I think we all know he's not great. He's not absolutely terrible. It is what it is. I would be upset if he continues to play like this, though, and he's the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks next year.
Yeah, let me pose this question to you, Drew. Who do you think is the bigger problem between, and I think they're both big, but between Waldron and Geno Smith, who's the bigger problem?
I mean, Geno Smith.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's because a quarterback has more influence on the offense than offensive coordinator. Um, Geno Smith, if you put Patrick Mahomes on this team has maybe a loss, maybe 2, but
We'd probably be 7-1 with Mahomes.
I mean,
Maybe
it's a huge difference. It really is. The quarterback is the most important position in all sports. It's huge. It's if you don't have a good quarterback, you're not going to win a Super Bowl.
yeah,
If you don't have a top 10 quarterback, you will not win a Super Bowl. And when you phrase it like that, and I don't know how many NFL fans would disagree with you, look back the last 10 years. How many mediocre to below average quarterbacks won a Super Bowl? Like one, Nick Foles,
yeah, that's it.
and, and he got really high at the right time. Like you have to be so insanely lucky. Like Jimmy Garoppolo and that Niners teams had one of the best built rosters in the last 20 years outside of the quarterback position. And even then, Patrick Mahomes got it done. You know why? Not because of the rest of the team, because Patrick Mahomes is that much better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
That is who he is. It's like you go to watch a movie, right? What are you watching the movie for? You're watching it for the lead actors. You're watching it for the director. You're watching it because
Yeah.
you're watching it for the brand. You're not watching the movie for like the supporting.
Oh, this movie won best props. I literally could care less if we won best props, right? Like I want to see some action. I want to see Leonardo DiCaprio going at it, you know? I
Exactly. And the key is like the supporting stuff that can make the movie better, but the supporting stuff doesn't break the movie. The movies that do bad are the ones with a bad script, or the ones with a bad director, or the ones with a bad lead role. And what I'm watching is the Seahawks. I'm watching a movie with a lead role who's flat, and I'm watching a movie with where the comedy actors are not doing much comedy, and I'm watching a movie where the script sucks. And when I say the script sucks, I'm talking about Shane Waldron and his play calling because it's just not good to watch. It's not pretty to watch. And even Pete,
Yeah.
I'm not blaming a lot of this on Pete, but it does feel like the directing's a bit outdated. It's like I feel like I'm watching a movie still that's dated in 2017, and you can say like, oh yeah, like Abe Lucas is injured. Like I understand that Abe Lucas, if we had him, that would be a huge difference maker.
Huge.
Again, like the supporting roles,
And Charles Cross.
the movie.
Charles Cross also has been banged up, and yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like for all the blame on the O line and like he's still not in the top 15 most sacked quarterbacks. It's like it's not like his supporting cast has been this bad. His supporting cast has been pretty solid, and yet we're just seeing it constantly fall apart. And it starts with Geno and it starts with Shane.
Yeah. So close out this video, Levi, what would you do if you were Pete Carroll? What would you do to try to, this season is not lost
Oh, it's
whatsoever.
not lost.
I
What
mean,
we gotta do.
we are ahead of, are we still leading the NFC West right now?
No, the 49ers have the tiebreaker because they beat the Rams and we didn't. But we're tied. So
Got you. So what would you do, Levi?
if I'm Pete, I'm leaning into the motivational side of it. I'm leaning into the like Pete Carroll's really good about taking a young team and making them believe when other people don't. And at this point, I think there's a lot of people that don't believe. The media, I mean, for what it's worth, they give us decent rankings in their power rankings, but nobody on ESPN is talking about the Seahawks. If they are, it's
I mean,
oh,
for a good reason, yeah.
if they are, it's just to promote that game on Thanksgiving against the Niners. Nobody's spending 10 minutes of their time the way they do with other good teams talking about Seattle. And so what Pete can do is he can point to that and say, look, media doesn't believe in you. The press doesn't believe in you. The big dogs like the Ravens, they just beat you. You gotta now it's your turn to go prove them wrong. And Pete Carroll, his best quality, in my opinion, is being a motivator.
Yeah, I would agree. I would 100% agree with you. It's already happened once this season. Lose to the Rams badly week one. The Rams were meant to be bad. And then we go in week two to a good Lions team and we win, you know, at the Lions Stadium in overtime.
Yeah.
And I could see that happening again. Like, we're gonna beat the football team. I mean, whatever. The Commanders still, I think. And then we have some tough games, and we got to figure it out now, or we're not going to figure it out. So hopefully we get back. Hopefully Geno Smith has a clean game of football, throws for 300 yards. DK Metcalf goes for 280, and just he follows the Seahawks back, whatever. I'm sorry, that's the pettiest thing ever. Like, I hate when players do that. I mean, Jared Kelenic did that. Like, I mean, I just like, God, give me a break. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to be traded, just be traded. Like, don't go through this whole I'm gonna unfollow. Like it's something you would do with an ex-girlfriend. I mean, come on, like what are we doing here?
Literally.
Yeah. Anyways, so I think that is probably gonna do it for us. Levi, you got anything else?
No, I mean I think we've covered it. We'll do more Seahawks discussion later on this week. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you for watching. This is the NW Sportscast. Go check out Coast to Coast Sports, which is our other channel. We're going to be releasing a power rankings on that momentarily. By the time you see this, you probably will. That'll be up there. And leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to try to slowly work our way up to 600. Hopefully by the end of the year, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah. All right. See you guys. Bye.